Hello, listeners. The episode you're about to hear was recorded from the 2019 NALA Conference and Expo in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it features host Carl Morrison asking first-time attendees about their experiences at this important conference for paralegals. We hope you enjoy. We'll be returning to our regularly formatted program next month. And now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Paralegal Voice, recorded on location from the 2019 NALA Conference and Expo in Scottsdale, Arizona. This is Carl Morrison. I'm the host of the Paralegal Voice. Of course, our show, we couldn't do it without our awesome sponsors, and we are being sponsored by NALA. NALA's been our very first, sponsor to the show. Courtfiling.net, awesome. Legal Inc. and Serve Now. So truly, sponsors, thank you so much for your generous support. So today, this morning, it's day 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Day
Yes.
3. Day 3
Charleston,
of
you're
4.
going, what?
I know. Flew by.
Day 3 of our conference, and I have 2 amazing guests with me. One of which I've met before several years ago.
Yes.
One I met at this conference just the other day.
Yes.
And I have with me Melissa Hamilton, ACP. She's Vice President of NALA.
Yes.
Yay! And Sherron Brightharp. Sherron, remind me, where you're from?
I am from Charleston, South Carolina.
That's right, Charleston. I love South Carolina. She's a corporate paralegal and a first-timer to the NALA conference.
Yes.
We love first-timers.
So, guys, thank you. Welcome to the show. Glad
Thank
you're
you.
with us.
Glad to be here.
So before we get into our show, which I'm talking about the national conferences and kind of first-timer impressions, so I have someone that, of course, is in leadership, but you were a first-timer
I
once.
was a first
We all
timer.
have to be
13 years
first-timers.
ago, I went to my first NALA conference.
So we're going to talk about that with Melissa, and then we're going to talk a little bit with Sherron about her first-timer impression. So we're going to start with Melissa first.
Oh, yay. I'm on the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat. Tell us a little bit about your background first. So
My
where do
background?
you work? What do you do?
I am a paralegal in the Civil Litigation Division for the North Dakota Office of Attorney General. I have about 26 years of employment with the state of North Dakota in the work comp field, human services, child support, and Department of Transportation. I also worked for the court system in the self-help center, helping self-represented litigants represent themselves in court. But unfortunately, due to budget cuts, they eliminated my position.
Oh
so
my
that's
gosh.
yeah. So it's a need that I think that we need to. It needs to be
yeah.
explored. But so when they eliminated that, that's how I ended up at the Civil Lit Division. But have a Bachelor of Science degree in Paralegal Studies from Moorhead State University. They're an ABA-approved program, closest one in North Dakota. And I have my CP and my ACP in Contracts Management, Contracts Administration, and Family Law, Divorce, and Settlement, I believe is what it is off the top of my head. I haven't used it in a while, so I'm a bad probably person to say on that, but I do have to. And I'm currently working on a real estate ACP too, so in my spare time.
In other words, listeners, paralegals are overachievers.
Yes, we are. We like to have many irons in the fire.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Melissa, we're going to have to do a show on the self-help need, and because I think that would be a fantastic
Yes,
show.
it would
definitely.
be. Yeah.
Sherron,
Yes.
you're next in the hot seat. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from.
I am from Charleston, South Carolina. I am a member of the Charleston Area Legal Assistants. I've been a member for about 1.5 years. I am the in-house paralegal to the general counsel for the Charleston County School District. I've been with the school district for a little over 13 years. In this current position, October will be 11 years. I've got my associate's degree from Trident Technical College in Charleston, South Carolina in paralegal studies.
Fantastic. I'm going to start with you, Sherron. You're
Okay.
first up on the question. And as a first-timer to National Paralegal Conference, NALA, what prompted you to even register, to even come? Did someone say, hey, you need to go? Or, what was the hook to have you travel truly across the country
Yes.
and attend the seminars?
So with me recently becoming involved with my local paralegal association, at every monthly meeting, there's a report from our national liaison to NALA She talks frequently about the upcoming conference, makes, reports or provides us information. And based on her feedback, I actually went online, looked it up, because I'm interested in sitting for my CP exam. I saw that many of the classes that were being offered relate directly to the sections or portions of the exam, and I felt that this would be the perfect opportunity for me to get the information needed in order to study and pass the exam.
I will tell you, I am a huge proponent of certifications.
Yes.
I am taking the CP this year as well.
Yay.
That's the last of my, what I call the P's that I'm collecting. But great for you. Congratulations for
Thank you.
taking that step, because it's voluntary. We don't have to.
You don't have to do it.
Nope, not at all. So a couple of days ago, like I said, we're now day 3 of it. It was your first day of the conference. And tell the listeners your overall impressions when you came in. What were your thoughts? Were you just like, whoa, oh my gosh, what is this?
It was overwhelming in a good way. Because of the app, I knew that you guys were searching us out, asking us to speak up if we were first-time attendees. When there was a post on the app, you got input and feedback from paralegals from across the country welcoming you. Coming across the country, there was a little bit of anxiety on the plane, wondering what would happen. But because of these very cute pink first-timer, everyone from wherever they are comes up and says hello, whether it's the elevator, in the hallway, the restroom. It's also welcoming. It's been a fabulous experience. Coming in before the conference started, I actually went down to have lunch, and someone said, "Oh, you're a first-timer. Come sit with me. I am as well." I'm from North Dakota.
Oh, yay.
And so she and I have been running into each other, having drinks, having lunch. So it's been great.
Fantastic. I love to hear that when first-timers, because we were all first-timers.
We're all first-timers, yes.
And you wear that first-timer ribbon and on your name badge, and you're nervous. Even if you know someone that may be at the conference, but you're still a first-timer, you're like, I don't know what to expect. And it's nice to hear when someone, you have people come up and recognize your first-timer and make you feel welcome, because that's really what it should be about, is
Absolutely.
welcoming you in. And so that's fantastic to hear that you haven't been left to the wolves by yourself.
Makes me
Not
feel
at
good
all.
too. Makes me feel wonderful.
So you've been attending sessions. You haven't been in the lazy pool or the lazy river or the pool. You've been learning for the past couple of days. And what's your favorite session so far? I know we still have the rest of this last day, but what's your favorite session and why?
I think my favorite session was the opening session with the keynote speaker. He was fabulous, inspiring, motivating the entire group. I saw ladies with tears in their eyes during his speech. It just kind of reminded us, or me personally, why I'm in this field, to help, to understand. That, I believe, so far has been the best. And of course, like I said, because I'm studying for the CP, all of the individual classes have given me information that I would not otherwise have access to.
And I met Sherron first day, right?
Yes.
And you and I just kind of clicked right
Absolutely.
off the bat. And I think we even connected on the app because of being corporate paralegals.
Yes.
And the mix and mingle the other night I thought was fantastic.
It was.
Getting to meet other.
I heard a lot of good feedback on it. People were pretty excited about it. They want to keep it going.
Yeah,
so something we should look at.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was just a great experience. And me I'm not quite an old timer, but I'm not a first timer anymore.
Yeah.
But
You're not an old timer either. Though. I mean, you're just Carl.
I'm just Carl. But getting to meet first timers and see the excitement that you're having and having such a positive, experience is great to see and hear. So if there are any listeners that have never attended any national legal conference or paralegal conference, NALA conference, what advice would you give to them about attending for the first time? From a first-timer's perspective, of course.
I would absolutely say to do it. That's the short and skinny of it. It has been amazing. I've still got the rest of today to go, but the information that I have received, I know will help me not only in my CP exam, but back at work. There's information that I would not have otherwise had access to, so certainly do it.
Fantastic.
Like Nike says.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, we're going to switch over to Melissa.
Ooh,
now
I'm back in the hot seat.
So you're not an old timer either. I'm not going to call you an old timer.
That's all right. I'm seasoned.
You're perfect. I love
There you
that.
go. I think I might have got that from Vicky Voice.
Right.
She's wise.
So when did you attend your first NALA conference? What was your experience with the first one?
My first NALA conference was 13 years ago in Tampa, and I was just like Sharon. Did I get that right?
Sharon.
Sharon. God, darn. I always kind of mangle names. I'm known for that. But I was a first timer, and it was my local association that had recommended I'd come. And I did not have my CP. I had my bachelor's degree, and I probably should have sat for the test right out of school because I probably would have gotten a job a lot easier. So I finally decided I wanted to get my certification. So I came to conference and I did the whole review course just like you're doing. And a year later, I met Kelly LaGrave right off the bat and came in. Everybody was welcoming. I mean, the president on down, everybody treated you the same. They loved their first timers. People were warm and welcoming. Didn't matter if you were like an officer or a first timer or somebody in between. Everybody was kind. They made sure you knew where you're going if they saw you wandering around last. And a year later, I had my certification. So. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So when you attend, what do you look for in attending NALA conference or any legal conference that you go to? What gets you to attend?
Obviously, what the topics are. Things that are fresh. We've got the technology. You look for things that apply to your job, like the corporate paralegals.
Right.
I would have loved that when I was at the DOT because I kind of was their in-house counsel when I was at the Department of Transportation. So you look for things that apply to your job, and hopefully that if like a big conference like this, they have a lot of different topics. But even if you go and there's no topics, if you look at your local association, maybe they don't have something that you don't practice in. Go. You might learn something. You might open yourself up to a new area, and in my case, you might end up getting. I never wanted to work in litigation to begin with, but I'd always gone to NALA conferences. The litigation was the last thing I wanted to do. But unfortunately, I really do like it. I really love it. I took to it pretty good, and I really do enjoy it. But I never wanted to do it because I thought it was the worst area of law to work in. But going to my NALA conferences through the years built up those skills in litigation. Even though I never worked in litigation, at least I had some information to help me springboard in and at least have a base of where to go when I did finally move into where I'm at now.
Right.
Yeah.
When, I guess that was 2 years ago, was Orlando. Mm-hmm. When I went to the NALA conference there in Orlando, that was when I was transitioning into corporate paralegal position. Mm-hmm. And of course, I got the schedule and was looking at all the stuff that would apply because for 20 plus years, I had been in civil litigation, insurance defense. And so my whole world was litigation, but from, the defense side,
right,
not the corporate side. And I was being groomed to do other areas of law. And I was looking for all those respective sessions that would apply, contracts, employment, and they had it. And I was able to go to my general counsel and go, hey,
and employers
you pay for me to go to
and
these?
that's the thing. If you can find the hook for your employer, because I work for the state of North Dakota, and as being a NALA member, I get that $80 gift certificate.
Absolutely.
And so they had that add-on technology, and they let me take the extra day because I showed them that there's technology here that I can learn, and they paid for me to stay another day. And but I had to show and I had to make the case that this applies and it's relevant to what I'm doing. Exactly right.
We were also doing some other projects at work just recently, and I told my general counsel, I'm like, okay, I know there's a couple of vendors that are in this area. I'm going to get information and bring it back so we can look at it, digest it.
And that's the other thing too. The vendors I found here, right? The day before I left, I had to serve out a complicated summons and complaint with a number of defendants in different states, and I used a vendor that I had found at conference that nobody else knew about. And I had information that a lot of my coworkers, because they don't go to conferences, didn't have.
Right.
Nice.
So you've been attending the sessions, and there's been some fun networking events, of course, during the conference. What's been your favorite, Melissa,
my favorite
so far?
Again, I like the judge. The judge was awesome. I loved the annual meeting where we had the past presidents there because you can see the legacy of the leaders. They all were there. The panel discussion I thought was really interesting because we heard from members on what they're looking for or what do they want to see from their association. And of course, Vicki Voiceman was up there, and I love listening to Vicki speak.
I love Vicki.
She's got so much wisdom. And Greta, she's explaining what we're doing with NAL. I feel like we're really moving forward and jumping around and getting some things done. And then having Nancy there to explain the CP exam because, there's been we switched over and there's still questions and concerns and people
Right.
aren't clear with that. So to provide information to our members so that they are clear on what we're doing and how we're doing it, that helps too.
Yeah.
Keeping those lines of communication open.
So this is my last substantive question.
Before
we get to my fun
CP
questions.
exam again.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if it was an oral exam?
Oh my god.
Kill me now.
Although I took it back in the day when it was still the 2 days, and you took it when they told you, and it was paper and pencil. Like I literally had a piece of paper and pencil, and I hand wrote my essay.
That was when my mom took it back in '86.
And it was
the same
blizzarding in
way.
North Dakota, and I walked out that day, and it was like 40 below, and I didn't have a coat on, and I didn't even feel the cold because my brain was done.
So as a seasoned paralegal,
Yes.
you've come to many conferences. What are some of the tips and tricks that you would give to a first-timer before they come
First-timer?
to the conference?
We didn't have that app when I was the first timer. That was back in the day before really anybody had cell phones. But I would say now with it, do the apps, get on the app, do the connections. I mean, there was a lot of information. People were out there a couple weeks beforehand. Once they launched it, people were using it. They were asking questions. Ask questions before you go. I always want people to feel that there is no stupid question. Ask a question. I mean, you'll get an answer. Hopefully somebody can point you in the right direction to get you where you need to be. Talk to people at the airport. I remember one time I was on a conference and we flew into an airport and one of the board of directors was in the Memphis airport and we ended up being on the same flight into Louisiana. Say hi, start network, talk to people, talk to them in the restroom, talk to them in the checkout or the check-in line. What are you doing? If you see somebody that's by themselves, hey, you want to come to supper with us? We grab people, but I think nobody should be a stranger at NALA conference.
It's so funny you said that because that made me think about Orlando 2 years ago and flying in and getting on the shuttle to go to the hotel. And there was actually a couple of attendees. And one of them had, I think, either it was an affiliate tag, luggage tag, or it was a tag that said paralegal on it. And I just was like, hey, are you going
Are you going to the conference?
Are you going to the conference? And they're like, yeah. And we struck up a conversation, that 20-minute, shuttle ride. And
I've
it's
met
like,
some great
right.
people, like friends that in other states, it's contacts for you. Like if you're at work and you need somebody to help you out in another state, you build a network across the United States, and it's that face-to-face that you can get a feel for people. If they tell you this is a good service or this is a good way to go, you can trust them and you get to know people. It's all about the networking. It really is.
It is.
It is.
I always tell
can't-
students, network.
Oh.
And how you do it is going to a national conference, becoming a member of an association, getting on the Facebook group page,
Right.
so on and so
Doing all
forth.
that. It's the networking. It really is. I think, honestly, it took me over a year to find a job after I got done with college, and it's because I didn't join my local association and I didn't network. A lot of your jobs are posted through word of mouth, and you need to network to get yourself out there.
That's been how I've had my jobs as in my profession as a paralegal, is because of my network.
Yep.
I've never had to apply per se, cold. It was because I networked. I had a paralegal friend that said, we're hiring, or this firm needs someone. I think you'd be fantastic for it. You should apply for it. And so
It's all about the networking.
it's all about the networking.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so my fun questions. Yay. So I'm going to kick it back over to Sherron.
Okay.
If you had a superpower, you could be a super person, superwoman, what would it be and why? What power would you want? Uh-oh.
I would want the power to help, but it's not going to be in one specific category. So I'm not going to limit myself to healing or, finances. I just want to help in the broadest terms of the word. And so if someone has an illness, if there's a financial need, if there is an emotional, I just want to help people. So, the funny thing is I've got a 10-year-old and he says, would you rather do this or do that? And so we have this question we play this game all the time on the way to school. And so I'm always being asked one or the other. But for this question, my answer is I'm not going to limit myself to one or the other. I just want to help in the way that's needed.
You can't see me, listeners, but I am bawling right now because that is the most. I did the whole heart sign to Sherron right now because I love you. Oh my gosh, that's just I got to bottle you, put you in the pocket, take you home with me. You are amazing.
Thank you.
All right, Melissa. Here's your fun question. If you were stranded on a desert island, what is the one thing you'd want and to have with you on the island?
Well, it depends. Is it like the Survivor Island where there's no, or is it the Naked and Afraid and you get one little tool to bring with you? It's like, do I have to like have something to keep me alive, or do I need to have something that's just for fun? Or I went round and round and round. I'm like, well, I could take a flint. I could take my iPhone so I can see my kids because now I'm the cool kid and I finally upgraded to the iPhone. I'm an Apple person now. But then I thought about it and I have this little pouch that I travel with. And in it, I have my family makes fun of me because I have eyeglass repair kit in it. I have a stain stick. I have Advil. I have Imodium. I have Band-Aids. I have a little of everything.
A paralegal.
Yeah, I know. And you know what? They make fun of me, but I have saved more than one person. We went to my niece's graduation and she ripped her dress. Guess who sewed it up with her sewing kit from one of the paralegal affiliated associations? So I'd probably take that. If nothing else, at least I have myself covered on a few bases. So that's what I would bring.
I mean, you can at least sew together leaves to make a new outfit.
There you go. And I could probably take my little needles and my knock it together and flint. I'd survive.
You would survive easily.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, it looks like we've reached the end of our program. I want to say a huge thank you to my guests, Melissa Hamilton and Sherron Brightharp. You guys, this has been fantastic. And I think this has really helped maybe people that have never attended Paralegal Conference to come because what's it been? Fun, exciting.
Yeah, we love seeing people, and I love learning, and you make new friends. And it really is every year. Conferences, about May I start running out of steam, and June I drag, but then I start getting ready for conference, and I come back after conference, and I'm like, woohoo, I'm all ready to go.
Right.
It's like my recharge. I actually get recharged every year, spending a week with my like-minded paralegals. We're all excited about what we do. We love what we do. We want to help people. It's how I recharge my buttons, really.
Well, and I'll add this. I know I'm closing the show, but I'm going to add on top of that. For me, it's like seeing family. It's a family reunion because I've met a couple of people, Donna, Barbara, at the Tulsa conference for the very first time. That was 4 or 5 years ago, and we have remained very good friends since then.
Right.
And seeing them this weekend it's like family reunion.
It's like a family reunion. And really, nobody should be a stranger at conference.
No, absolutely not. So thank you guys definitely for joining us. If our listeners have any questions for either one of you guys, contact information that you'd like to share. So I'll start with Melissa.
It's my contact information is on the website. It's mhamiltonacp@outlook.com.
Okay.
Shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to answer questions. If I don't know an answer, I'll find somebody who does.
And I am available at my work email, which is Sherron_Brightharp at charleston.k12.sc.us.
It's a lot.
It is.
So thank you guys very much. That's all the time we have for this episode of the Paralegal Voice, brought to you by the generous support of NALA, courtfiling.net, Legal Inc., and ServeNow. Thank you once again, sponsors, and also thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please rate and review us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. I'm Carl Morrison. Gosh, I don't even know who I am. Host of the Paralegal Voice, and if you have any questions, of course, please send them to me at devotedtolaw@gmail.com, DEVOTED2LAW@gmail.com. Till next time, thank you for listening. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, or subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.